Together we'll conquer, no limits apply. Eclipse rising, shining so bright. With delusion leading, we'll conquer the night. Together we stand, in battles we fight. In the dark Epoch, our future is right.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am Delusions, and today we are going to do a brief video talking about prepping for the future of your progression. Now, for those of you that are over level 500, well into your master levels by now, you already have got a taste of this, but I hope that for those that are still working their way up the ladder, this video can be informative and insightful for you, kind of give you a little bit of a foresight on what's to come, and see what you can do now to better establish yourself in the later game. Okay, so when we're talking about planning, garnets is always going to be the number one key thing that you are going to need to progress with. Now, you notice how I said, towards the later games, well past into 500, and that's being, being because we now have access to the Mysterious Merchant at level 501. So this Mysterious Merchant will be able to sell you items, but he will also be able to buy your items at full buyout price. So yes, that does mean your wings. So we could take a look here at what he could potentially sell you or buy from you, and that is going to be any tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 wings, the materials themselves, awakening jewels, all of your crusade fragments, although I do not recommend to sell these to him, nor do I recommend selling him your barrier crystals or your blueprints for your elemental gear. Now, for those of you that don't know, these are things that are going to be coming, as you start to progress. Your crusade gear will start unlocking around level 501, as well as your elemental gear coming in at roughly level 650, and then you're able to start working your way up. But what you may not know is you have to craft all of this gear. You can't just go and defeat a boss and it drops the gear for you like we normally do. We actually have to craft this. So if we take a look here at some of these requirements on the crafting side, so we can hop in and let's look at our crusade set. So our crusade set is going to, one, require 20 fragments, and I know that we discussed this in a previous video, but it's going to require 20 of these fragments along with all of these heaps of other materials. And for each, individual piece, it is going to require the same until we get to your weapons. Now, your weapons are the only ones that are going to be able to come uncrafted, I guess you could say, uncraftable, if that's a word. And that's just because if you were able to get a blessed archangel weapon throughout your guild siege or your castle siege, that right there already qualifies you to having crusade weapons. Now, if you are choosing the route where you want to buy the ruined archangel weapon fragments from the Mysterious Merchant every Wednesday, it is again going to cost 20 fragments, so a month's worth of buying to be able to get one piece of that gear. But it also requires all of these other materials. So, for those of you unfamiliar with how these materials drop, it is very rare. I can't really say very rare, but it is rare. Unless you want to go through, spend your garnets, and purchase these pieces yourself throughout the garnet shop. But again, it is all going to require a lot of garnets and a lot of materials at that. Now, once you get up into level 650, that opens up a whole nother beast, is because now you have access to elemental gear. Now, elemental gear is going to be something that you'll be able to again build, but you're also able to go through and build 3 sets. But the really nice thing is that you only have to build one, and then as you get your blueprints, you can then deactivate and swap between them almost how you would do with your set treasure sets, um, but without losing any of the materials. It will refund the materials to you, then you'll be able to go through and re-equip everything and get yourself back into the fight. Um, so for instance, I've gone ahead and picked up all the necessary pieces. So we'll go ahead and pull out some of these, some of these. Let's go ahead and pick some of these up. Pick up some of these and some of these. Now we can go in and okay, so we're still missing one key piece. And this is going to be what is going to come from one of the new events, or the new pieces of contents for your dailies. Um, so we will go ahead, and now I have the ability to craft either the Earth Elemental set or the Gale Elemental set. Um, but for right now, for my synergy that I'm working with, so I've already got 2 pieces of Earth, so I'm going to go ahead and craft the third piece. As you can see, gives you a nice chunk of CP as well, along with some stats, and allows me to activate a 3-piece set bonus. Now, every one of these has their own set bonus, so you may want to just go ahead and try to craft them all to see what plays best for your character or your class. Um, but yeah, I definitely wanted to make sure that we touched on some of these things, because until we start receiving some of these server mergers, our player base is dwindling. So it is getting slimmer and slimmer by the week. And those that are actually sticking around are all in the same boat as each and every one of us, and thriving to, or striving to pick up as much gear and equipment as they can. Um, but as you are progressing, getting into these higher master tier levels, um, take advantage of the Jewel of Creations that are constantly dropping from your guild boss every day. You get 2 opportunities, um, 7 days a week. So 14 times a week, you have an opportunity to pick up some of these Jewel of Creations, should you have um, the garnets for it, as well as be able to start prepping ahead for your awakenings for your next tier set. Um, Typically, you can always tell when a server hits another tier is because everybody is scrounging trying to pick up all of these awakening jewels when they could have been prepping ahead, and getting that at an earlier stage. So what my recommendation is as you are going through this, try and get your gear awakened early. And then I would say 50 levels from your next class change is the time that you need to start prepping. You need to go through and try to pick up and save all of your garnet jewels, put those in your storage, out of sight, out of mind. Pick up your awakening jewels and your jewel of creation. Buy some of these jewel of evolutions from the shop. And even, I would say, equally as important to collecting a lot of garnets is collect a lot of gear. Make a few new alts. Make them all of the same class as your main, so that you can target focus all of that gear, and then as you start bringing in more and more, you could then turn around and sell it from your alt to your main at a bid price, um, if your guild allows it. And at that point, it is just going to help you further progress um, at a more rapid pace than those that are going to be going into their next class change unprepared. So all of these things are subjective to each player, but in my eyes, this would be the most optimal route to follow, uh, as far as what to keep an eye out for, what to start picking up early, and how you need to be prioritizing your gathering versus spending. Um, because again, we all know that our rings are expensive, our necklaces are expensive, the mounts and stuff that are coming are expensive. And if you're having to go and purchase your wings through the auction house, once your server hits level 500, there's almost no wings ever in there. So it is one of those things that you have to really step back and think, what do I need versus what do I want? You need to progress. That is always going to be top of the list. You need to progress to stay competitive, to be able to keep up with your server, and be able to make sure that you don't fall behind. But I hope this video was able to shed some light on some things, kind of prepare you for some others. And with that, I am Delusions, and I am out.
So raise your sword high, let's claim our fame. With every boss fallen,